Welcome in, everybody. We're here at Service Hawk Digital Media, where they soar above the competition with expert marketing for HVAC, electrical, and generator pros. Guys, if your business needs growth, get over to Service Hawk Digital Media today. It's what we're doing. It's what you should be doing if you own a business. If you want to grow your business, you need to get over to Service Hawk Digital Media. HVAC. I know a lot of you that watch this show are in that. You're electrical generator pros. A lot of you have reached out saying, hey, Blake, I saw that you were at Service Hawk. We are. Get over to them today. Let them know that you need help with digital growth, and they will assist you in all of your needs. But today we are back, and we're going to be talking about this game with LSU versus Vanderbilt. But we got to start off with, yes, we were here for the post game. Yes, LSU got beat by Florida this past weekend. And listen, in this special edition, in this special episode, I think there's one thing that I just want to mention in reference to that game and what has been going on. Will Campbell, your All-American left tackle, came out in player interviews yesterday and said that it's not the coaching, it's not the scheme, it's not what's going on, it's us. We got to learn how to finish football games. And he's not wrong. You know, there's a lot of things that we can point out, and this is something that we have discussed, whether we've been at Service Hawk, whether it was the post game, whether it's been the weekly, nightly shows. A lot of people have been saying from an offensive perspective that the issues with LSU has been, well, Joe Sloan stinks. And a conversation that you and I have continued to have has been pretty simple. You can't have guys wide open and your quarterback not hitting them and say that scheme has been bad. What you can say is, look, you've been ineffective running the football in moments, but you weren't ineffective in running the ball this past week versus Florida. Florida is one of the worst teams in the SEC in defending the run. They're one of the worst teams in the country at defending just basic fundamental pass plays. And you made it harder on yourself than what it needed to be. I felt like during that entire game that even though you were controlling most of the game, that you, quite frankly, I felt like I was sitting on eggshells, right? I felt as if that there was something that always was going to happen. And ultimately, I felt like, number one, that's exactly what happened in the game, is that the players felt the same way. But I don't know how much energy I'm seeing from this team and the willingness to want to finish. Now, this week versus Vandy, if you allowed them to stay around with you, the same exact outcome is going to continue to happen. You know, I look at the sidelines as an example. Like when a guy makes a big play, I don't see the sidelines erupting. I see coaches. I see Jake Flint jumping up and down, getting pumped up. I don't see players celebrating after a big run from Josh Williams for 22 yards. I don't see that. And so the last month, for the last 4 weeks, you and I have come into this special segment, or we've come into post games or weekly night shows and said, hey, man, same issues continue. And sometimes I feel like when I watch the sidelines, it's a little deflated. But the number one thing, and going back to what number two thing, but going back to what Will Campbell said, why would he go out there and say that? Why would LSU send out Will Campbell to say that? Because he's being truthful. Execution has been a massive issue for this team. Again, Garrett Nussmeier took a sack on a play action out of the pistol. If he stepped up in the pocket, if he throws the ball there to Aaron Anderson, guys, he's going to get hit, and I understand that he gets hit, but that ball is completed. Aaron Anderson has nobody around him for 10 yards. I don't know if telling him to not be himself, but knowing the coverages, knowing where he needs to go with the football, there's definitely a disconnect. If there is something on coaches, there's definitely a disconnect with this team offensively. Let's look through something, though, very quickly, because I want to, we've talked a lot about Florida, and that game's over with. You know, I'm not going to be the bitter ex-boyfriend that continues to get mad that we lost a game against Florida. We got to move forward, and we got to look into this Vanderbilt game. something I want to point out. LSU has been very bad at throwing the ball down the field. 10 yards plus, they've been very bad. Last week versus Vanderbilt, they were 4 for 11 or 36%. They did have a touchdown to Aaron Anderson. The issue is we continue to try to push the ball down the field, but the inefficiencies that we've had in pushing the ball down the field have come back to bite us in the arse literally the last 3 games, whether it be A&M, whether it be Alabama, or whether it be this past week versus Florida. You've only been able to connect on 40% of passes thrown 10 yards plus. Guys, that is horrible. So what's going on? I do think Garrett's missing, but I do think that there's some disconnect. And I think that he feels like that he doesn't have enough time, or he doesn't have enough time. Guys, you're in conference. Garrett Nussmeier is 56% completion percentage. So he's completed 148 passes on 264 attempts, 1,700 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 4 fumbles. Guys, you want to know why you're having not a lot of success in conference play? Well, you have 8 interceptions and 4 fumbles. And I said that I wasn't going to, after you lost to Florida, that we weren't going to talk about turnovers, and we're not. But when I look at Vandy, if you continue to play this style of offense where you're wanting to force the ball down the field, you continuously, week after week after week, continue to bang a head up against the wall, trying to throw the ball down the field when it's highly inefficient for you, you're going to lose another game. You're going to lose. Garrett's numbers in conference are horrendous. They're horrible. You know, the argument a month ago was, man, Garrett Nussmeier would be the number 1 quarterback that we would take in the SEC right now. Guys, I'd take Lenore Sellers over him. I'd take Carson Beck over him. I'd take Jackson Dart over him. Be real with you, I might take Taylor Green over him. If DJ Lagway continues to play, I'd probably take him. What about Quinn Ewers? So now that we've been down this stretch and you have 2 more games in conference, Vandy and Oklahoma, because you got to be better in the turnover department. You have to be better at not giving the ball back. Even if you have massive issues along your offensive line, 8 interceptions and 4 fumbles is not good. Guys, that is 12 potential, well, not potential. 8 of them are complete turnovers, and you've lost 2 fumbles, 2 that you've been able to recover. That's 12 turnover-worthy plays that you've had there, and I'm not even talking about the Arkansas game where Arkansas had 2 interceptions that were missed. So when I look at Vandy, and getting into the point here, when I look at Vandy and coming into this game, I really look at this as Deigo Pavia versus Garrett Nussmeier. Now, Pavia for Vandy on the season, he's completed 60% of his passes. He's got 1,843 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He's also their team's leading rusher for 628 yards and 5 touchdowns. So, guys, the efficiency that he's played with throughout the season, meaning Deigo Pavia, scares me because I think that, ironically, there are a lot of things that both teams have in common. I think that there are multiple things that when I look at this game, the quarterback that plays the cleanest, the quarterback that makes the better plays on third down, which Pavia has done all year. That's why Vandy is 20th in the country in third down efficiency. I look at this game and say to myself that it's a matchup between both signal callers. Whatever quarterback is going to make the big plays late in this game is going to win the football game. So I asked a question last night on the show, and I'm going to ask a question coming in here to this. What quarterback do you trust the most? When the game is on the line and it's late night, Death Valley, Louisiana, the place smells like bourbon, who do you trust the most to make the big play to win you this football game? Is it Garrett Nussmeier or is it Deigo Pavia? Right now, I don't know if I can go with Garrett Nussmeier to make that play. I've seen Deigo Pavia against Texas. I've seen him against Alabama. I've seen him against Kentucky. I've seen him against all these other teams, even though South Carolina got out of hand. I've seen him make the plays in crucial situations that, quite honestly, LSU is not making offensively. If that's the case and Deigo Pavia is in a situation where the game's on the line and Vandy needs a score for them to win the game, the guy has utter confidence. He has mobility. He has the awareness to get his team in the right position. And that's where I'm really worried. The second place that I'm worried here is defensively. Speaking of Deigo Pavia and what Vandy wants to do to you offensively is, guys, they're going to run triple option principles. They're going to make you be fundamentally sound. They're going to make you tackle well in space. They're going to make you be assignment correct. They're going to make you line up where you need to be before the snap or before the ball is snapped. So if there is a testament to where things are with you defensively, Vandy is going to expose that this week. Now, you can say, well, Blake, we got exposed against A&M. Well, that's true. We got exposed against Alabama. Well, that's true. We got exposed against Florida late. That's true. Vandy is another team that does that to you, and they do it to you all night long. All night long. And that's what's going to happen. Because what worries me and why I think that LSU, if they don't correct things quickly defensively, God bless you, if they don't fix things like now, okay, you're going to be in a situation where we're looking up in the fourth quarter and being like, what is going on? They want to go 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Now, if you don't know what that means, guys, they want to run the ball on first down. They want to run the ball on second down, and they want to get in favorable matchups on third down that they can convert. That's why they're 20th in the country in third down conversion rate offensively. They're going to fool Les Miles you with a triple option principle, and the guys, they're doing this in the SEC. The SEC is the best conference in college football right now, and they have had success with it. You have not had success with a quarterback that can move all year. You have not had success against a quarterback that's athletic enough to get outside the pocket, to run in between the tackles. You can't stop them. They are going to do that with Deigo Pavia. And again, we come in here another week, another game, another situation that if you're not fundamentally sound, if you're not ready to go, if you're not assignment correct, if you're taking bad angles, if you're getting blown off the football like you've been the last month, you're going to look up and we're going to sit here in the post game and ask ourselves one simple question. How in the Rudy Poo hell did we get beat by Vandy? And you know that I'm serious when I say Rudy Poo. I don't throw the Rudy Poos out lightly. Guys, you're this week, I'm telling you, you're going to be in trouble if you don't execute defensively and you're not fundamentally sound. The third thing I would say, and we talked about this last night, but I want to spend time in this today. Guys, Vanderbilt is 36th in the country in run defense. I've seen a team in Alabama, I've seen a team in Texas that could not line up and run the football moderately effectively against Vanderbilt. Alabama had under 100 rushing yards. They had 84. Texas had 104, and no back had it over 5 yards a carry. You have had issues outside of last week in the SEC running the football. You're 113th in the country in run offense. Now, last week you had, with two backs, you had 100. I'm going to round up from 169. You had 169 yards, but I was going to say 170. You had 169 rushing yards last week against a really bad Florida defense who's not had the ability of stopping the run all year against anybody. Can that continue to translate? Now, Brian Kelly this week has already said, well, the reason we had success in the running game was because we ran the ball more. Well, no shit. Thank you, Captain Obvious. You were coming into the game last week, you were 130th in run calls, meaning you literally were third to last in plays where you just line up and ran the football. Last week versus Florida, Brian Kelly's hands by running the football was all over this game. Completely all over. And the excuse that I kept getting about the turnovers and Nuss needing to do everything he needs to do, or he's having to do everything, that wasn't the truth last week. because you were able to run the football. All three of your runs came, ironically, from the interior of you running into the interior. I don't know if you can do that this week versus Vandy. One thing that is 1,000% true is the front seven for Vanderbilt has played very well. Their D line is very fundamentally sound. They're not going to be out of their assignments. Guys, they have 4 linebackers, technically 5 if you want to consider one of their safeties who comes down in the box a lot. They have 5 guys in their second level that fly to the football in the run game. They fly to the football. They're not bad at tackling in space. They're actually very good at tackling in space. And this is, for what it's worth, through 10 games, Vanderbilt, of all teams, is one of the better teams, not only in the country, but in the SEC in stopping the run. That worries me this week. It worries me that if we're one-dimensional and we cannot run the football, that we're having to ask Garrett to put another game yet on his shoulders, which has been leading to lack of success. I don't know what they do. The only thing that I can think that they would need to do this week is continue to run outside zone and pray to Jesus. Like, let's pray to sweet Mother Mary. Sweet Mother Mary, let LSU run the football effectively this week. That's the only thing. You better start praying now. Tell your grandmammy to go up to church and light a candle for this LSU football run game. Because other than that, you are not going, in my opinion, I don't think that you're going to be able to line up and beat Vandy. Now, you can say, well, Blake, this is Vandy. Well, what's the excuse with a better team in Texas that wasn't able to do it, and Alabama, who absolutely bent you over and spanked you all night long? It's comical at this point that we still have people that are saying that, well, Blake, this is Vandy. Yeah, it is Vandy. The guys, they're third in the SEC in run defense. Third. I feel like we're 17 minutes into this video, and I feel like I've been extremely negative. But it's just the truth. It's just the way that I see it. 84 yards rushing. Guys, Vandy's linebackers single-handedly made Jalen Milroe ineffective in running the football. I mean, that is insane. Like, it is insane. And you know what? After Vandy clipped Alabama, Tennessee was running the same stuff defensively that Vandy was, and it paid off for them. LSU did not do that. They thought that their system and their philosophy would work here, and it backfired drastically. All right, 2 more things here before we get out of here. One thing is for certain about this week versus Vanderbilt, because there are let me back up here. I have seen and heard Brian Kelly this year say, and I quote, "We are playing a lot of young players." That's BS. Now, you are having to play some freshmen. I give him that. 7 players on your defense are seniors. 7. Historically, when teams have that many seniors defensively or any side of the football, it leads to massive amounts of success instead of this one, because you ran the risk during the offseason of running it back with the same personnel. Now, I was wrong, and a lot of us were wrong. Well, man, it's probably a lot of this is on coaching. It's not on coaching now. It's not on coaching. It's a personnel issue. Now, are you having to run Ahmad Bro out there? Yep. But you also have JVR Suggs and Gio Paez, who have not necessarily been complete starters, but you have 2 interior defensive linemen that are seniors. You've moved Paris Shannon the inside. He's a senior. Both of your DNs are seniors. You have a linebacker that's a senior. You have 3 safeties that you're playing religiously that are seniors. You have a DB or corner and Zy Alexander that's a senior. How many more players defensively do you like? We keep labeling, we're so young on the defensive side of the ball. Bullshit. So I do not want to see the two safeties that continuously are making bad plays. I do not want to see them in the game this week. And if they are in the game this week, and I'm sure that they will continue to be in the game, I hope that there is a rotational piece. I want to see more of Javian Toviano. Guys, Javian Toviano had a really good game in that star role. He had a really good game. He came up on a critical third down that Florida had, and they ran the football, and he had a critical tackle on another third down. DJ Lagway threw the football short of the sticks. Javian Toviano came up and made a play where it stopped them short of the first down marker. They wind up punting the football. I would rather see that. I would rather see a guy that's giving me full effort and has been making plays versus a guy or guys that continuously wee down their leg when they, yes, and I said wee for all our French people, wee down their leg every single week. Play somebody different. Stop telling me that some of these young guys aren't ready. Your super seniors aren't ready. Your super seniors continue to run around with like a chicken with their head cut off and not knowing what to do. At least make an adjustment. At least make a change. Now I know this week you're going to the excuse is going to be that, well, Blake, we got to be fundamentally sound this week against Vandy, because if we're not, we're going to get beat. Guys, your super seniors haven't been fundamentally sound the last month. And, we get mad at Brian Kelly as a fan base for saying, oh, he keeps doing coach speak about being fundamentally sound. Guys, you got to be. Coach speak is coach speak for a reason, because it's real and it's true and it's reality. So you can be mad at him for going out in a press conference and saying, hey, we can't get out of our rush lanes. Hey, we can't stop missing the gaps and then using gap integrity or losing gap integrity. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Now it's on him to go in there and coach it. Now it's starting to fall on him needing to go in there and coach it and be better at getting these guys ready to go. Because God bless Captain America, I swear to you, I'm going to blow a gasket like I did on Saturday here from Service Hawk Digital. I'm going to blow a gasket if we continue to bang our heads up against the wall and continue to allow these same dudes defensively over and over and over and over again make mistakes. Now, some of you own a business. Some of you work for people that clearly own businesses. And if I came in to work, or you go into work every day, I have a question for you, and you constantly made the same mistakes, your boss is not going to tolerate that. You might get 2, 3, 4 times, but the 12th, 13th, 14th time that you continue to make the same mistake, they're not going to continue to allow you to do that. What world do we live in where that is acceptable? I know this is going to get a chuckle, maybe get a chuckle in here, I don't know. But after like the 6th time that when me and my wife got married, about the 6th time that she told me that if my happy-go-lucky ass doesn't start washing dishes, you got to learn. All of you that are married, you know what I'm talking about. There are responsibilities and duties that you have to do, and if you keep missing them, you're going to get your ass beat by a team that's not better than you. Oh, blank's Mr. Negative. Well, you've lost, guys. You haven't won a game in a month. A month. Aliens weren't real a month ago. By the way, did y'all see the aliens are real? Did y'all see this? The UFO thing? Did y'all see this? Okay, well, apparently they confirmed spacecraft, so we're not alone in this world. It's probably why I'm so weird. Maybe I'm not from this earth either, and I'm just, I don't know. All right, last thing here. Boy, this one's going to get me in trouble. Guys, you're 2 weeks away. So let me start this over. So Blake, you've brought up 4 points already to me. How does this change? How do we get better? Well, we blamed Matt House. We blamed Robert, Coach Steeples. We blamed Cooks. We blamed everybody and their mama last year. They deserve a lot of blame. A lot. They deserve a hell of a lot of criticism. Guys, Bo Davis doesn't suck. Corey Raymond doesn't suck. Kevin Peoples doesn't suck. Blake Baker doesn't suck. Those guys are the reason that they are where they are, and the status that they have is because they've been dominant everywhere that they've been. Bo Davis had what some people believe to have a Heisman Trophy candidate at defensive tackle. He built him into that. You guys continue to tell me that Corey Raymond is the GOAT of DBU. Okay. Well, Kevin Peoples is everywhere he's been. He's had at least one guy have a season with double-digit sacks, and maybe Braden Swinson can get there. And Blake Baker, well, we saw what he did at Missouri last year and what he did in the SEC. Guys, in 2 weeks, the portal is going to open. And if you're not already getting ready for the portal, if you're this LSU staff, if you're not ready and you're not ready to go and you're not ready to spend money, you're not going to get better. I look at the players that they brought in the last portal class. Let's look through them. I don't think Jordan Gilbert was a very bad addition, but it wasn't the addition that you needed. You brought in Gio Paez. You brought in Javier Suggs. Those are not guys that win championships. Those are not guys that win you the SEC. And quite frankly, they're not the duo that you need that is going to lead you to a 10-win season. So when I'm like I did last year, when I come in on these shows and I flip my shit about you not spending money to go get more players, what's the excuse now? I hope Don McKinley, the 5-star, is able to develop. I hope Amai Bro can get better. I hope all of these things are true and you can continue to develop. But you do not have a difference maker that is ready right now at safety that can lead you to championships, that can lead you to a playoff. You don't. Offensively, you brought in C.J. Daniels. I thought was a great addition. You brought in Xavier Thomas. I thought that was a great addition, not only from an offensive perspective, but from a special teams perspective. But I'll tell you this. This staff was told religiously that they needed to go get a guard. They didn't. People that have ties in the O-line community in college football, your boy included, suggested that you needed guard help. What else? I vehemently think that you need a veteran running back. Harlem Berry, and Caden Durham are not backs that can run in between the tackles. It's not their game. It was never supposed to be their game. Never will be their game. Never will be their game. So when the portal opens in the first week of December, and you need defensive, you need DT help, you need linebacker help, you need safety help, I'm gonna give Corey a pass because if you bring in 2 5-star corners, I think you roll with them. I think that you need guard help. I think you need center help. All of that being said, if you do not go out there and get dudes to change this team, what about team culture? Team culture doesn't mean shit when I see Ole Miss, when I see South Carolina, when I see Tennessee all being better teams than you. Their team culture doesn't suck. Tennessee's team culture doesn't suck. Oregon's team culture doesn't suck. They brought in a transfer portal quarterback. They brought in 2 transfer portal wide receivers. They brought in a linebacker from the portal, and they went out and spent money. They're the number 1 team in the country. Ohio State went out and spent over $5 million in the portal. How's their team culture? You're so worried about team culture versus getting dudes, and it's getting your ass beat. I'm sorry I continue to sound like Mr. Negative. It's not who I am as a person. But there's a difference, and in wrapping this up, there's a difference in being negative and talking about reality. What world do you live in? We'll see y'all soon. We've been here at Service Hawk Digital, where you can soar above the competition with Service Hawk Digital, expert marketing for HVAC, electrical and generator pros. Let Lee, Justin, and the team know that you need help. Tell them Blake sent you. Till next time, we'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good day.